Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Let me get to the. I don't even know. I have so many tabs open, it's not even funny. Let me see where you guys are. Not there, not there, not there. I think you're right here. Let's try over here. It's probably going to have sound. No? Okay. So let's see here now. Hi, Jen. Hi, Razzie. Hi, MSL. Yeah, we missed you guys yesterday. Karen, we missed Karen yesterday, and Nana Owens was mopping her floor and broke her wrist. So you have a good excuse, Nama. We can't fault you on that one, but don't mop your floors anymore. Oh my gosh, Tina Medley, I haven't seen you in so long. I always think you, and then when I see your name, I think of Tina Gillespie. She sent me a book once. She's not been here for a long time. Then I think of Danielle, but Tina Medley, I haven't seen you in a long, long time. Long time. Nice to see you. Long Island gal, thanks for joining us. I'm in top chat. That's not good because that if I miss somebody, it's not my fault then if I'm in top chat, but it is my fault because I didn't change it. Razzie, MSL. Yeah, you don't plan on it? Hubby gets, yeah. Just tell him you'd love to do it, but you just can't risk it anymore because if you break your wrist again, you could, it's not going to be good, right? Use that for all it's worth. Okay, so we're talking about the case Sydney Powell. And yesterday we watched a lot of police cam on it. The day before we did as well. Yesterday we watched interviews, and we have some more interviews today. So we're going to see the interviews. Let's see what I have here, okay? Let me grab them. Now, Sydney on March 3rd, 2020, right before we would go on to lockdown for COVID. You really enjoyed Carolyn. You have a good group. Yeah, we missed you yesterday. I'm like, where's Karen? Thanks, Karen. So, Sydney, and it's so hard to understand. And believe me, I tried to go and watch some, it's the second break in 6 months. Then you should really not be doing anything. Seriously. We tried to wonder because her parents, I remember when this came out, like in the news, I thought, well, there must have been something. It must have been like maybe that, her parents would say, well, if you don't pass, you're done. You're not going to get anything from us. Like we didn't know. But her parents were both understanding people. In fact, her mother, I watched the trial today, part of it. Her mother worked with these cancer patients, children. Very hard thing to do. And she would even go there on Christmas Eve if the kids didn't have anybody coming for them. She would go there on Christmas Eve to be with them. So she was a really understanding person. So then what the defense was that, or what I heard there, I forget where I heard it from. Yeah, it must have been Sydney. It wasn't that she was afraid her mother was going to yell. She couldn't stand to see the disappointment in the mother's face. So let me just get this right. Like, you don't want to see disappointment in your mother's face because it would just about crush you. But you could kill your mother? Like, how about looking at her face like that? And this was not just, like I said, this was just not like just a heat of the moment thing where she accidentally pushed her and the mother fell. This was something so horrific. She hit her multiple times with not just a frying pan, but a huge cast iron frying pan. If you have one of those, you know how heavy that is. This girl was 5'1" and 100 pounds. So she's bringing this huge frying pan up while her mother's on the phone with the school because they heard the thud, thud, thuds, okay? She then stabs her in the neck and slices her neck multiple times. So I just don't know. Then they claim she had schizophrenia. But the jury didn't buy it. The jury deliberated for 9 hours and convicted her on all counts. Now she has, yeah, Tina, her murder conviction was overturned last year, and she may get a new trial. And that's because they didn't get in to bring in some medical experts they wanted to speak out on. So, someone's texting the crap out of me, but you guys can hear me, right? I don't know. Someone's texting it. The absolute crazy. You hear ding, ding, ding. Okay. The idea that they were super close. Well, you say it wasn't true, Long Island Girl, but they kind of said it was true in court. In court, they said it was. In court, they said that they had planned to do, they had this shopping trip coming up they were doing, and that they were this all-American family up to this point, and her mother was on the stand, and that girl, Sydney, she excelled in school and stuff. So I don't know, what did you hear? Yeah, spill the tea. Tell me where it is, and I'll go look for it. You can't see how her family could stay in the same house. Well, the father said they were going to move. Did they stay in the same house? See, the other thing is, she got out on bond while the trial was in place. Her grandmother was for her, and people felt like they didn't care about Brenda's death because all they were concerned about was with Sydney. Well, you can't say that too, but there was nothing they could do for Brenda. Brenda was gone at that point. I won't find it? How did you find it? You found it, but I can't find it? You found it, but I can't find it? I'm a really good detective. I can find a lot of things. How did you find it? How'd she find it and I can't find it? Ooh, she knows the people. You're on Long Island. You're on Long Island, or are you in Ohio now? You're in Long Island. I like to say Long Island. You're in Long Island. I'm not making fun of you. I like that accent. So I have a lot of friends from Long Island, and a lot of them don't talk like that, but some of them do. And they don't care when I do that. They think it's funny, and they can make fun of my accent too. You are hi, Jen Proctor. So tell us. What can you tell us then? Tell us. Tell us. You're in Ohio now? You went from Long Island to Ohio? Really? Hi, Alyssa. Do you like Ohio? You grew up on Long Island. You like Ohio? You like it? You like Ohio? So tell us. Give us some scoop. Give us the scoop then. Tell us what you know. Tell us what you know. Everybody tell her. Tell us what you know. What do you think she did it for? Tell us. Please tell us what you think happened. And they stayed in the same house, Long Island gal? Are they in the same house? They never sold the house? I think she's in the same prison now as Mackenzie. Is that correct as well? She kind of looks a little bit like Mackenzie, like that little girl look, like when that Mackenzie had in the car when she didn't have all her stuff on. Tell us, because she kind of looks a little bit like Mackenzie at some points. What? Tell us, tell us. She's not going to tell us? Do you want to call in and tell us? You can call in and tell us. You can email me. I'll give you the phone number. You can tell us. See, MSL is saying, tell us. We don't know. Ellis is saying, yes, tell us. Jen Grill is saying, tell us. Come on. You said I can't look it up and I can't find it, so the only way we're going to find out is if you tell us. Maybe they were friends. Maybe. I don't... well, Akron, she doesn't really talk about Akron. She talks about Cleveland, Parma. I misspoke. I don't know them personally, but I know the connections. Okay. We don't care about you misspeaking. Tell us what you know. Tell us what you know. Karen says, I thought it was very telling when she spoke with the father, and when he mentioned the police, she freaked. Yeah. I don't know where she was going with this, like where she was going to go with this. It doesn't make sense how she thought that this could be the thing. And like I said, if it was some kind of spur in the moment thing, she would have hit the mother with the frying pan and then thought, oh my gosh, what did I do? Not go get a knife. Not hit her more times than that. Get a knife, slash her throat, stab her in the throat, let her bleed out all over the place, then answer the phone in the calmest of voices when the college called and pretend that it was Brenda. Right? When I look at her in court, she's got a strange look to her, like that look you see in people that are, it's not like a schizophrenia look to me. It's like a duper, like a, you don't really know me, that kind of look. It's just a look about her, and that's my opinion. It's just a look about her. And when she was crying and crying and crying, and crying and crying and crying, when the verdict was read, she put a tissue right up over her face. And it's just deception. That's what it seems like to me. And the jury, they said, had absolutely no reaction to any of her crying in the courtroom. And they feel they did the right thing. And they said that she knew right from wrong. And you just can't say because of the cover-up, because of the things she did. Mom was super loved in the community. Yes, I heard that. But the image of her being all mom. But the image of her being all mom wasn't true, according to a coworker. Mom was super loved by the community, but the image of her being all mom was... You mean being being all mom? Being all mom. Because we did read some testimony from the coworkers. We did. And I think she was all about how things looked. Okay, here's the other thing. Do we know, how come we don't know about that white substance? Let me see if we ever found out about that white substance, because that's the end of their documents. I just don't even understand. But let's see about the white substance in her purse. What did that test for? Don't we want to watch the interview of the roommate? Let me get that up. Sydney. Need my glasses, sorry. Okay, so these are in one of two, I believe. Let me see. Instruction. Okay, I think this is the roommate. Look at this. Do you think they would have got her in the nice room they gave the father? Prisoner, officer. I think this is the roommate. Yeah.
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
She looks like a little girl too with a bow in her hair.
Okay.
Alright.
Mhm.
Okay, let me find you guys again. She put enormous pressure on Sydney to be perfect. Oh, okay. But still, come on. You know, is that, you go from being perfect to doing that? I don't know. You know. And why was she failing her classes? If she was such a good student, what was happening? There's so much more that doesn't make sense. You don't get thrown out of college because you failed a class. They make you take it over. Like, did she fail every single class over and over and over again? Like, what the heck? Was she not going to the classes? Was she not, like, there's so much more. Let's hear what the roommate has to say. Depression? Okay. But why wouldn't there be counselors at the school or something that would catch on to that or something, you know? Doesn't make sense.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
If you sure you don't want anything to drink, or?
I'm good, I promise.
Okay. Hi, this is my partner. This is Detective Bertina
How are
King.
you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
Nice
Looks
to
like I've
meet
seen you before, though.
Maybe.
You ever come here to see your dad?
I did when he retired.
Okay.
I haven't been here often.
So, Laura, first of all, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We know that this whole thing's difficult for you, and you're trying to make sense of it, and so are we.
Mhm.
So, you know, we're just talking to you about what you know, not about what you've heard or anything.
Okay.
Just trying to find out as much as we can, so we can, you know, kind of make sense of this ourselves. So if you want a break or anything, just let us know. But why don't we start off with, tell us about Sydney. How did you, when did you first meet, and how long have you known each other?
I've known Sydney for 6 years. We met the first day of summer gym in high school, and then we were best friends ever since. Very close.
And what are you doing now? Okay, where do you go to school at?
I go to the University of Mount Union.
Okay. And what year are you in there?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yes.
Now, we understand that Sydney was your roommate at Mount Union?
Yes, she was for last year and then this year until she left.
Okay. So how did that work? Did you both plan on going to Mount Union, or? Okay.
Yeah, she liked it first, and I was like, I don't know. And then I visited there, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the place to be. And then when we both got accepted, we were like, oh, we're definitely being roommates.
Okay. And so you've been friends ever since your freshman year at St. B?
Mm-hmm.
And go over each other's houses, everything like that?
Yep.
Okay. So what are you studying at Mount Union?
Education.
Education?
Yes.
And what was Sydney taking?
Well, she started off in exercise science freshman year, her first semester, but then she didn't like the classes, so she switched over to psychology and sociology, but then she didn't really like that, so this year she switched to education, and then she didn't like that either, and that's one of the reasons she left, is because she really couldn't find what she liked, so she was trying to figure it out.
So tell us about the time you spent together at Mount Union. You said that she really couldn't find something that she was interested in.
I think her most interest, was psychology, like learning about that stuff, but other than just like hanging out with her friends, like educational wise, it was kind of hard for her, I think.
Where did you stay at there? Where do you stay at?
Freshman year we were in a dorm room, and then this year we were in a suite, so it's like a dorm room but like two, so we have like neighbors, and we shared a bathroom.
But it's actually like Mount Union housing. It's not like a separate apartment or anything.
Yeah, it's not union housing.
So it's just you and Sydney?
Mm-hmm.
And now, were there some other groups of students that you hung around with frequently? Neighbors of yours?
Yeah, so like I said, our suite mates, which was Alyssa, who was a cheerleader with me, and then our friend Brittany, who lives in like the townhouses, so she didn't live with us, but she was really close with us because she was in our sorority together, and she was also a cheerleader.
Now, was Sydney in that same sorority?
Yes.
What sorority is that?
Alpha Chi Omega.
Now, do they have a separate house on campus there, or how does that work?
So they do have a house on it, but they only have like one apartment, so you can't really like live there.
So it's Alpha Chi
Omega.
Omega? Okay.
Yeah.
And did you both join together, or how did that go?
So we both went through recruitment together, and we both did the same sorority.
What attracted you to that sorority?
The girls, the vibe that they gave off, like everything that they stood for.
And what was that? Tell us about that.
Well, I think the girls are just really nice in general, but the philanthropy they stand for is the Domestic Violence Shelter of Alliance, and even though I've never been like in any of those like situations, I think that was a good cause.
Okay. So you didn't. There's no actual house, but everybody just belonged to this sorority and just stayed at different their dorms. Is that?
Yeah.
How often did you get together with those girls?
Every Sunday we have chapter, which is like kind of like the meetings, and so if we had events, we were with them. So anytime we had an event or on Sunday chapters, so often.
So when you first got to Mount Union, how did it go for Sydney? Did she seem to be? I mean, you mentioned that she didn't really, find a niche as far as what she wanted to study. But I mean, did she ever talk to you about her classes and how that's going, or did you share that with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about classes a lot because we did homework together a lot. I think she was like I said, I think she struggled in her classes. I don't think her grades were the best, but she didn't really tell me that because I wasn't really struggling. But I think you could tell, kind of, especially at the end, that she just wasn't like doing her best. And in high school, she was very like good grades and everything. So I think it was kind of a shock for her not to be to struggle. I think a little bit.
I think it's like a study habit thing, because it's a big difference from college to.
I think so, because like in high school sometimes you can procrastinate a little bit, and in college you definitely can't.
So she just wasn't. Did it seem like how did this like kind of change affect her? I mean, did it affect her moods at all? Did she seem concerned about it? Or tell us about that.
I think she kept a lot of stuff hidden because when we were just talking or with our friends, she always seemed happy. Like she seemed okay. Like I said, I couldn't tell until the end where she was kind of just like struggling and she kind of was sad and just like, Lauren, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you just need to find what makes you happy and like just you need to find what you like to do. And I don't know. I think it did make her a little upset because she was confused. Because I think she felt like everybody around her kind of had figured out what they wanted to do, and she hadn't. So I think that kind of affected her.
So when do you think that it really started affecting her? That like, look, this is, I'm really having problems, and this is I have to. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Tell us when you think that it really started affecting her, like often.
Like her anxiety. Well, I know she's had anxiety for a while, but I think it was this last semester, like starting coming back in January, is when it really started. Like she was kind of more like upset because she really didn't know what she wanted to do, and she didn't like her classes, because that's when she started the education classes, and like my friends and I were worried for her because we didn't know what was going on because she wouldn't tell us, and like there was problems with like housing or something. Just like we shared a room and had like put names on the doors, and her name wasn't on it when we got back, and we were confused about that. And she said it's because they messed up because she didn't sign the forms right or something, but it kind of never got fixed. And then she left. And my friends and I were just worried because we didn't even know if she got any books for her classes. Like we were trying to ask her questions like that, and like she's like, no, I have books and I have stuff for my classes, but like I do homework all the time, and I don't think I saw her doing a lot of homework the last couple of weeks. So I think this last semester, this January, part when she was there, kind of affected her the most.
So, had you hung out over the Christmas break?
Yeah.
And was she talking about, what was she talking about then? Was she talking about the next semester, or did you guys talk about school at all?
I don't think we talked about school. Maybe living situations, because for like junior year, we were talking about living in townhouses and like what we were gonna need. So I think we were talking about living situations, but like school-wise and class-wise, I don't think so much.
So when you came back from Christmas break, you didn't see her name on the door.
Yeah.
And when did she come back?
She came back the same day.
Same day?
Yeah.
Did you come together?
No.
Okay.
No, she came in her own car.
And so take us through again, her name wasn't on the door.
Yeah.
And how did,
So I guess the door people do that?
Yeah, so the RAs do that.
Okay.
So we were like, oh, what happened? Like, maybe you should go ask the RA, because people were asking, like, why is her name on the door? I'm like, I don't know. So she was kind of hesitant to ask the RA, so that's when we were kind of just like, what's going on? Like, my sweet mate, Alyssa, and I were asking, like, oh, what's going on? And Sydney's just said that when she signed out the forms wrong, so she was meeting with residents, like, a lot in the last couple weeks to kind of figure out, like, to get her stuff back, because then when her name wasn't on the door, her dorm key, like the thing we get into the dorm building, it stopped working. And so, but then it started working again, because like she went over to Res Life and they turned it back on. So I don't know what happened, really, but that's all she said.
So it wasn't, so when she got there, it didn't work, and then she went and talked to them.
Yeah.
And then, so is this like, so the key is the outside door, and then you have to use one for the inside door?
No, so there's kind of, there's a key card, like our Mount Union ID, and that's when you swipe in, so like you can get into the building.
Okay.
And then there's the actual key for the room. The swiper wasn't working, the key swiper wasn't working.
Okay.
So I think she just told us that she didn't fill like the housing form out, like this, when we had to come back, we filled out a form saying we're coming back, and she said she signed something off wrong. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what she told us. And then she just, like I said, she met with Res Life a lot, like a couple weeks trying to get them figured out so she could, like, because she was staying, and then she ultimately decided not to stay, and so she had to return her key and stuff.
so when when she got her stuff working again, how was it like day to day? I mean, was she leaving the dorm? Was she coming back?
Yeah.
And what were you thinking about that at that time?
I was confused because we've told each other everything for a long time, so I was confused in the sense that I didn't know what was happening, and I was just like, she could trust me, she could tell me if something was wrong, I want to help her, but she didn't really tell us anything. Like, she didn't tell Alyssa anything either, or Brittany. She did go to class, so she was leaving the building, but usually her and I were together because our classes were similar, so we'd be coming back at the same time. But I saw her use her key, like I'd use my key too. But yeah, we were together most of the time, coming back from classes and stuff.
Do you have any of the same classes?
We had the same class, but not at the same time.
Did you actually know for sure if she was actually physically in the classroom?
No, cannot say I do know that. She told us she was, and I mean, she was, like, we both had French class, and she was doing her French homework with me, so I knew she was doing stuff with the same class, but I don't know if she was going to class.
Okay. Was there any, like you mentioned Alyssa and Brittany, any other, like maybe the sorority sisters in any of her classes?
No, but she was also close to a girl named Audrey. She was in our sorority, but she was also a cheerleader. A lot of her friends were my friends, because I'm a cheerleader, so she hung out with a lot of the people I hung out with.
So you don't know if she was actually ever sitting in a seat in the classroom?
I can't tell you that, no, because we had classes at the same time. And if we didn't have class at the same time, it was because I was in a class and she was in a study room, because she didn't have class at that time.
What was she doing? I mean, was she at the dorm room a lot, or how? Can you describe for us what she was doing when she was not in class? Or supposed to be in class?
When she wasn't in class, if she was waiting for me, she'd wait in the study room, so that like Mount Union has like rooms that you can study in. So she'd wait for me until I get out of class, and then we'd go do stuff together. But if she'd not, she'd be in the dorm room in her bed on her laptop.
Did you notice any change in her mood? Was she talking about anything, or?
Like, I could tell she was getting more upset, like more sad. And I told her, like, I'm here, like, you can tell me, I'm here for you. If you need anything, I'm here. But she never really opened up until she was leaving and saying that she was struggling with school and that she was kind of trying to figure out what was going on, and that's when I started to try to help her. And then she ultimately decided to leave, which I thought would maybe be good for her, just to get her mind off the rest of the semester and then come back and go to Akron or something the next fall semester, kind of, hoping that would help her.
So when was that night conversation, as opposed to when she left?
That conversation, maybe a week before she left, a week or so before, saying we were talking about it. We were just like, I was like, well, Sydney, I understand if you like to take classes or summer classes. If you want to come back to Mount, I'm all for it. Like, we love you and we want you here. But like, I understand if you go home, like, my friends and I talked about this when I was Sydney too, but if she goes home and she just needs to go to Akron just to be at home, just to be somewhere where she can maybe try to find a new work ethic and something that makes her want to go to class, we're all for it. And she's like, I appreciate that. I really want to come back to Mount. That's where all my friends are. That's where I want to learn, even if I'm a semester behind. That was kind of what she said.
So when did she actually leave? Can you put a day on that, something that reminds you of when she actually left?
The Tuesday before the incident. The week before.
A week before?
Yeah.
Is that the last time you actually saw her?
I saw her the Monday before the incident. And that week she came back to Mount to watch The Bachelor with me and my friend at my friend's townhouse. She came over.
Did she stay where she was staying after she left, or what did you believe? Where did you believe she was staying?
She told us she was home. Like, she left. We watched The Bachelor, and then she left to go back home. And she texted us when she came home.
Like I made her maybe home?
Yeah, like she made it home.
Okay. So you think that before this happened, she'd been at the house a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she leaves about a week before the incident, then you're thinking she's at home?
Yeah.
And then she came back to
No.
just that Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lauren, let's talk about this. You're her best friend, and I know this is difficult, but tell us about her relationship with her parents.
She, her and her parents had a really good relationship. Like, her mom and her were best friends. Probably, like, they did everything together. Like, one of the reasons she went home was to be with her mom. They were always close. She never said anything bad about her mom. She never ever talked about having an argument with her mom. Like, I can't recall every time she'd be going home, she's like, I can't wait to see my mom. Or when she goes home for weekends, she'd be like, oh, my mom wants me to come home so we can hang out and like watch movies. And she loved being home. And she had a good relationship with her dad too. Like, I know that her and her dad liked to watch like Star Wars together, and he always like cooked food at the house. Like, he liked cooking, and she'd always talk about how good his food was and what they would get each other for Christmas and things about spring break. Like, she loved being home like with her family.
So when she's talking to you about the problem she's having at school, did she mention that she tried talking to her parents at all, or that they were going to have that they were involved in her future plans at all?
Yeah, I know she definitely, especially when she left, she talked to her mom about leaving. They kind of made that decision together to leave Mount. Like, she told them that. She didn't tell them for a while, but I knew when everything kind of built up, she was telling them how she was struggling with school. And then when she left, I know that was a decision between like her and her parents, kind of mutual type decision.
Now, when you say that she told them and it was like a mutual decision, is that her telling you that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that her telling you that
She told me that she talked to her parents and they decided that it would be best for her to just not finish the rest of the semester.
So as far as you know, based on what Sydney was telling you, she was discussing this situation. Did you think her parents knew based on what she told you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you never ever talked to the parents, all right?
No, I haven't seen her parents in a while.
So you last saw her, which would have been like a week before the incident, and then had she removed all her things, or did you get the impression that she was moving out at that point for good?
When she told me that Tuesday morning, we woke up and she was talking, she's like, I need to tell you something. My family and I decided that it'd be better to like take the rest of the semester off, and I have to leave today. And then she like packed up all of her stuff and kind of told all of her friends, and then she left that Tuesday with all of her stuff, all of her bedding, all of her clothes, all of her items.
And that was a Tuesday before the incident happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then she drives up to see you the Monday night before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did she say anything that day when you were watching The Bachelor, or did you ask how she was doing, or tell us about that?
Yeah, we asked her how she was doing, and she said she was good. Like, she acted like what we would see as normal. Like, she was laughing, she was having fun. She said she got jobs, because she worked at the Akron Rubber Ducks.
Mm-hmm.
She's worked there for a couple seasons, so she was going to go back there. And then she also said she was looking for another job, and like everything was good, and she was trying to figure out like for next year and all this stuff. And she was going to talk to her parents about housing, trying to come back to Mount. That was her main thing. But she seemed fine. Like, she seemed completely like I said, she was laughing and we were goofing off and doing girl stuff and everything like that.
When she's, once she got to Mount Union, or anytime actually, did Sydney ever drink alcohol at all, or she did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just kind of describe that for us. We've all been college age, so, and
No. I don't usually like drink a lot, and if I do, it's one. But she liked to drink. There was an incident in the fall of our freshman year where she drank too much, and she wasn't alcohol poisoned, but she did end up in the hospital in her I usually kind of like slow her down after I know kind of her limit because she's small. Kind of knew her limit, but she did turn.
What situation was that in? Was that like just like a party or something, or?
I was in the dorm room watching movies because I didn't really go out. So she went out with some other of her friends. I wasn't really close with them. I was close with one of them, but not the rest. And I got a call around like 11 saying Sydney was at a party and she was throwing up and she just wasn't good and to come pick her up. So I kind of went and got her. And then she wasn't feeling good, and so I brought her back to the dorm, and she wouldn't get out of the car, and I had guys with me trying to help, and then the RA came out, and then the RA called campus security, and the campus security called the ambulance, and then she was taken to the hospital.
Did she have any friends that like wasn't in your friend circle there, like friends that she had maybe made on her own that you're aware of?
Not really, because usually she was either in the dorm or hanging out with us, or sorority girls, but I knew all the sorority girls too, that they were my friends. We had a lot of the same friends.
So her circle of friends pretty much consisted of the sorority girls that you were in and some of the cheerleaders that she met through you.
Yeah.
Had you ever seen her taking any drugs or anything, or any medications for nothing? Nothing at all?
No.
Is there anything that you know of that, did you hear from anybody else that she might have done that? Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, I don't.
So, what is your phone number? What phone number do you have, Lauren?
330-687-2221.
You guys text a lot?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned an Allison?
Audrey.
Oh, I'm sorry, Audrey. Do you know Audrey's phone number off the top of your head?
No.
How about Brittany?
No. I'd have to look at my phone.
I know you just probably keep them in contact. Right?
Yeah.
So did she, that after, you said after she left, she got all her stuff and left about a week before, what kind of contact did you have with her during that week? Did you talk to her at all over the phone?
Not really, because we kind of wanted to give her a week just to settle into her house. We asked her how she was doing. I called her, but she didn't answer because she was in the shower. And then I texted her, and I was just making sure. I was like, "Oh, I just want to make sure you were okay." And then we talked a little bit, and then she asked if she could come over that Monday for the bachelor. And I was like, "Oh, of course, we'd love to have you. Like, we want you here." And then she came over, and then she texted me I'm home, and then we'll text like videos to each other. So she sent me a video that night too, and that was kind of like the last of it.
What kind of video?
A TikTok video.
Did she have any boyfriends or any guy friends that she met at Mount Union or back here?
We hung out with fraternity guys, and like she had the same guy friends I did. She did have a boyfriend from about like December before break until January when she came back. They broke up.
So it was like a month or so.
Yeah, very short.
Do you know his name?
Dominic Zappa.
Zappa?
Yeah.
So what made it break up?
He cheated on her on New Year's.
Oh, kitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll make you happy.
No, yeah. So yeah, they broke up.
How did she find out that happened?
I had friends at the party that called me and told me, and then I told her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to break the news to her.
Yep.
Had she ever, any, you mentioned that she had the drinking episode. Any kind of like breakdowns or anything, or you mentioned that, she had a hard time finding out what she wanted to do, what she studied, but any like real bad episodes that you can recall, anything like that?
I mean, not bad, like I've seen her cry, but not over I've seen her cry before over just being stressed. I don't think she handled stress very well, so she cried over stuff sometimes when she got too stressed out. But other than that, not really.
And where's, I mean, how did you take the news about Dominic?
She was upset for like a while, but then she just kind of just like, it's not meant to be, that's okay, and then she broke up with him.
Where's she from?
I think North of Cleveland area.
Mm-hmm.
They have their words back and forth, or she just kind of like dumped them on text messages?
Yeah, she dumped him over text. She was like, I found out, and she gave him a little bit to see if he'd tell her, and he never did.
Mhm.
So she was like, I kind of don't like that you never told me, so I just think we should end things now, because it's not going to work out, basically, type of thing.
Mm. So, Dick, you talked about her anxiety. Tell me more about that.
I think since high school, Sydney's been dealing with anxiety. Like I said, she doesn't deal with stress well, so she gets in like, if she's stressed about something, she kind of gets a little worked up over it. She went through a period in high school in her junior year where she just was like almost social anxiety. Like she didn't like to like talk to people other than like our friend group or go out to like restaurants or stores. Like she didn't want to talk to cashiers and stuff like that. We kind of helped her and pulled her out of it, and we kind of, a girl, I think, well, she went to the counselor, so, like, Sydney went to the counselor, kind of talked about it, and it got better after that. Like, senior year, she was normal, like, I should say, but I think junior year, she definitely struggled with it. And then in college, I think it got worse again, just because, like I said, she didn't know what she wanted to do, and I don't think her grades were what she wanted them to be. So, like when she like was doing her grades and stuff, I think that kind of stressed her out, and that got her more upset when she couldn't figure out why she wasn't doing as well. I think.
Do you think that she talked to any counselors up there?
Mm-hmm. I don't think she talked to the counselors out, because you have to go to the health center, which is across campus, and she never went there.
So when she's, you mentioned that she was having problems with her grades. Did she ever talk to you about the university's feedback, like if she was on like probation or anything, or any official status that they changed with her? So you weren't aware of anything like that with her?
Mm-hmm. I know the reason I kind of found out is because in the sorority I got an executive position, or I was in a position to where I knew she couldn't do something because her grades, so she was academically for her grades in the sorority.
When would that have been?
That was
semester-wise?
That was last semester. I kind of found out about that because we have a thing called.
Which would have been the fall.
Yeah.
This past fall semester.
We have a thing called Big Little, where like the older girls get a new girl, and they kind of like their mentors, and she wasn't able to get one, I guess, because of her grades. So that's kind of when I found out, because I was in a minor position then where I helped pick the Big Littles. So I was like in the position. I kind of found out because of that.
And how did she react when she was, when you talked to her about that? Or did you talk to her about it?
I didn't bring it up until I was just like, hey, I know you can't get a little, and they said it's because of your academics. Is there anything like you want to talk about? She's like, they just messed up my transcript. Like I didn't get as bad of grades. I'm like, I don't really think that happens, but yeah. So she told me that they messed up her transcript, but then she came and told me the truth a little bit later that she did have bad grades.
And was that like this little thing? Was that like towards the beginning of the semester, or
More towards the middle.
towards the middle of the end? And that she did finally come forward and say that she was. Did she mention specifically what her grades were? Just said that she was having some problems.
Okay. And how do you find out that it was all bad? How do you find out about that?
When it was like all the grades were pretty bad.
Yeah.
I never really found out what they were exactly. She told me that she was like, I kind of have bad grades. My friend Brittany kind of struggled with grades a little bit, so she's the first one who kind of noticed that Sydney was struggling, because she had been in Sydney's position before, like her freshman and sophomore year, a little bit, so she kind of could tell, and she's the one who kind of like warned me, kind of talked to her about it, like just make sure
It's like a probation thing, right? They kind of, and then, do they ever just like, did you ever just know that she wasn't supposed to be there? Okay.
I never knew that. And maybe maybe at the end she wasn't supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it kind of felt like. But I never knew. Not really.
Because her name never appeared in the door,
No.
right?
Did you ever, was there any RAs that ever came and physically checked your suite there? See if she was staying there?
After she left. After she left. But before that, they came to talk to her.
Who's they? When you
The RA, our RA. She came and talked to her, and then Red Light was also coming and talking to her. They'd come and ask for her, and she talked to them.
do you know how many days before she left would that have been, or was it weeks or days?
It was weeks, like throughout the weeks that she was there, kind of on and off.
And then that night that you saw her, did she make plans like to see you again?
We were gonna hang out. We were gonna try to hang out again soon, like over a weekend or something, but not like official or not specific plans, I guess.
Okay. You don't come home on weekends all the time?
I come home sometimes, but not often. But I knew because spring break was coming up, I was going to Florida, so we were making plans probably to see each other after spring break.
So, like, back here in Akron, was there anybody that, like, you went to school with, or she at St. B, you're really good friends with, she would spend time with when she was back home? Who would that have been?
If she would have, it would have been either a kid who goes to Akron, his name's Lewis, but I don't think she ever contacted him, because he didn't even know she left until I told him. So I don't know if she ever contacted him. And then, we had another friend who goes to Kent, her name's Emma, and I don't know if she contacted her either.
What's Emma's last name?
White,
Did she go to St. B?
she did.
So what about social media and stuff like that? Any social media she had?
She had Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter.
So does any of that did any of that ever look weird, dark, anything to you?
She never posted anything, so I
Oh.
don't really know.
Okay.
Any guy friends that were back here in Akron that she went out with?
Not really, no. When she was here, she usually was hanging out with her family. Like, her close friends were kind of the ones at school.
What's her relationship with the brother like?
They have, I think, like a normal sibling relationship. Like, they love each other and they'll do anything for each other. They also, brother and sister argue and stuff like that. So I think it was pretty relatively normal. Like, she loved her brother. She told me that all the time. Like, I talk about Steven, she talk about Andrew. Like, pretty normal. Like, she liked to go to her brother's soccer games and his lacrosse games. She liked supporting him a lot.
Was she playing in any like intramural soccer up at Mount E or anything like that?
No.
Was she playing any back here in Akron, anything like that? So Lauren, what haven't we asked you? Is there something that you think that we need to know, or something you think that we might think is important that's weighing on your mind?
I don't think so. I think you guys have asked a lot of good questions. I think you've gotten a lot of the main things. Like, just definitely, she has had anxiety. I think is a big thing. I don't know.
You know, she ever went to a doctor, got diagnosed for it or anything like that?
I don't know.
Did she call it like, I guess I would say that's like, to me, like a serious word to call something.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this society day and age words kind of get.
Right. That's why I was wondering, like, did she ever say, I went to a doctor and they said, I have anxiety, and then we just kind of carried it on like that?
No, she never said anything about going to a doctor. I don't know if it was diagnosed or. But I knew we would call it like anxiety, I guess, even if it's just a small term for it. Or a term that we just use because it's used a lot. Just she was stressed a lot, I guess you could say. Yeah.
And then when it all goes bad, all of this, so how do you find out something bad happened to her mom?
So I know that didn't know what happened. The
Mhm.
dispute happened, and then my dad was coming to give me a suitcase, and so then my dad kind of told me.
Oh, did you guys go in Florida next
Yeah.
day or that? Yes, I remember him being here that day. Like the next day or something?
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, it was the next day.
Yeah.
It was the next day. Yeah. It was. Yeah. He kind of told me what happened. That
Mhm.
my mom passed away, and Sydney kind of was part of it.
So how did you feel about that? What were you thinking?
I was shocked just because, like I said, Sydney and her mom were so close, and I kind of just was like, "What do you mean?" I think I was shocked and confused for a lot of it, and then I kind of, when I was on vacation, kind of figured that this happened, that something happened with her mom and her, and I don't know what, but I'm really like I can't really help other than tell you guys what I know. I guess I knew I can't do anything other than just be there for Sydney.
Did it shock you?
Yeah, it shocked me. I kind of was just kind of, like I was just like, no, kind of like, maybe didn't believe it at first. I'm like, no, this Sydney and her mom, like, maybe something else happened, somebody else was there, but obviously that wasn't the case. So I was just really shocked about it.
Have you talked to anybody in her family since this happened?
We talked to her dad, just like we sent flowers to the funeral, so he kind of thanked us. And just was making sure we were okay. Basically, just making sure we were okay. We were making sure that we said if they need anything, we would be there for them, kind of that type of situation.
What about the other girls that are friends with Sydney? How are they?
They're okay. I think giving that week of spring break kind of let everybody kind of digest what happened. Like, we were all really upset that day or night. I wasn't there on campus, but the campus sent an email that Tuesday or that Wednesday. I wasn't there, but I heard it. Everybody was talking about it, and it was kind of upsetting for some of the people that were her friends. Because they were just confused because so many people loved her and never would have saw this coming. Not at all. Never would have saw this coming. So it was just a big shock to everyone. But like I said, having that week and now I think not being at school because of the coronavirus has given everybody time just to like heal and kind of digest what happened and just hope kind of for the best.
So has anybody said anything like, we got negative naysayers?
Yes.
Anybody say anything bad? Like news, this would happen, she got some whatever, anything bad?
Not to me.
Okay.
Everything that people, my friends have texted me and people in my sorority, and it's all been very positive to me. During that.
Isn't it ironic that literally she just said that kids are not at school because of the coronavirus? So I'm thinking all went to lockdown at different times, and this is March 19th. I know it was sometime in March that our elementary, high school and stuff, I didn't have kids in the college at the time. I had them they're in the younger grades. It was around this time that, I'm trying to think. So I know it was March and we were not in lockdown, but isn't that ironic though that this is March 19th, and let's say she wasn't in the whole semester, but then they all went home. But how close it was till, if she had lasted, if she had really been enrolled, right, she would have been home in March. I don't know what they did with the colleges. I can't even remember right now because I didn't have kids in college at that time. But did they go home and take online courses? If they did, then she would have been home.
Week on spring break, I kind of turned off all my notifications for social media, so like I didn't see anything, or I didn't want to, kind of type of thing, just kind of heal and not. But I know from my friend that people were saying mean things on her social media page, her Instagram, because it was public. My friend told me that. I didn't go read it. But
Is it Sydney Powell?
yes. I heard there was negative comments on her Instagram page about her, but like I said, I didn't read it. But everything I saw that people texted me and stuff was just positive, saying that they're here for us and they love us and kind of that type of situation.
You guys are like, so what are you doing now? Just online?
Yeah, online classes.
Are you guys back now for spring break technically? Or?
So we had Monday and Tuesday off, and then yesterday started online classes, but I'm just living at home because they shut down our dorms. You can't live in the dorms anymore.
Lauren, just have a question. How did you usually, I know, like, when you're at school, you get that card and everything, but did she pay for stuff with cash, or if it wasn't her, like, university card at the university facilities, if you went out, to a restaurant or something, how would she normally pay? If you know.
Either cash, or she'd a debit card, or one of us would pay and she'd like Venmo type. She'd Venmo, we'd Venmo. That was kind of how it was. So either cash or her debit card.
So she did have her individual debit card? Okay.
Yes.
Because most of the food is, you guys eat off campus, or you guys have a kitchen and you do stuff at home?
So there's a cafeteria, and then we have in our school a cafe. It's called the B&B, where you can use your dining dollars there and need money. But if not, it was at a restaurant or at our friend's townhouse, which they had a full-size kitchen, so we cooked there.
Okay. So how you feeling about all this?
I'm okay now. The first couple days where I was kind of sad and just confused and shocked, but like I said, I kind of realized that the only thing I can do is kind of tell you guys what happened in my kind of like what I know about her, and just know that I know Sydney, or knew Sydney, how she was, and that's all I can do is just support her and try to help as much as I can. And kind of that type of situation. Just I knew there was nothing I could have done right now, or that situation I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, so all I can do is just be there for people.
You think we haven't asked you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, Lauren, if you think of something, I'm going to give you my card. Your dad knows how to get a hold of us, but I'm going to give you my card. And if there's something that maybe you say, I wish I would have told Detective King, Lieutenant Widnats, or anything at all, or I should ask you, do you have any questions for us? Or I know there's probably a million things, but okay, I'm going to give you my card.
It's like, no.
And if you, like I said, if you think of something, or somebody says something and contacts you, either through Instagram or whatever, says something that's really unusual, I don't know what that would be, but if there's something that sticks out to you, or just get a hold of us, okay?
I will.
Or they can call us.
So what are you studying? What are you studying?
Education.
Okay, so you're going to teach.
Little kids. I bet you little bitty baby kids too, right?
Now you were coaching in the fall, or it's back at St. Pete too, right?
Yeah, I coach. I'm the freshman cheer coach at St. Pete.
So you had time to do that in addition to cheering at the football games and everything?
Yeah, so I would go to class Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday I'd go back home and coach the football games.
Wow.
And then I'd cheer myself on Saturday. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to walk you back down, and appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right here, and then I'll take you down over here. Dad's hanging out, okay?
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, your dad knows how to get a hold of me. You've been, oh.
I think her dad is a police officer. Detective, something, maybe police officer, somewhere, something to do with the police. So, yeah. What did we learn? What did we learn in that interview, Craig? What did we learn in that interview? What did everybody learn? Did anybody learn anything new in that interview? Anybody? Let's see. We learned that she was in the hospital for not alcohol poisoning, but something related to alcohol, drinking too much alcohol. We learned that. Lots of stress, pretending, faking. Okay. We learned she reiterated that her and her mom were best friends. She reiterated that her dad liked to cook and there was nothing, she didn't say anything, he had anger problems or anything. And Barbara says that her friend saw something was wrong with her much earlier in the semester. Yeah, she told her she was changing, right? Changing majors. But that was known about the changing of the majors. I think even the father mentioned that, didn't he, in his interview? So she had started with sports. Was it exercise science? What was it she was doing? Exercise something, right? Then no, didn't like that. Then she went to psychology. Then no, then she went to education. Then no, that didn't seem to fit her either. And I don't know why, like she was so wrapped up in that, because normally sometimes kids don't really even know what they're doing their first year of college, their second year. A lot of those courses, if they haven't taken college courses in high school, they're just the general ed requirements. So, but she was really wrapped up in that, trying to find something to fit her. And she didn't like the courses, though a lot of them probably would have overlapped for a lot of different things. But anyway, hello, Debbie2 Scooter. So I don't know. What else did we learn? Did anybody else learn anything else about anything? Twisted Stitches says she likes to talk. Her other friend felt she was struggling with grades because she had gone through the same thing. Okay, but struggling with grades is a very common thing in college. Very common, right? She's not alone with that, and there's a lot of remedies for that. They have, the professors have, hours after class. They have labs they could go for help. She could study with friends. She could, get a tutor. There are other avenues if you're struggling like that. And I just think someone that, excelled academically, although it may be a big shock that she's not doing well, would have the wherewithal to say, I've got to do something about this. Let me talk to the professor. Let me find what my options are, but just wouldn't ignore it. And if her father was getting onto the website, like I told you, hi Lisa, he could see her grades. So how did it get to the point that she's 3 semesters deep and nobody knows there's a problem? Did she not have report cards? Now, she had to have... Did they not ask to see grades? If she wasn't doing well in the first, second, third semesters, where is she? Okay, but why? People would have seen there was an issue, right, Long Island gal? So if you take this student that was a stellar student and the first semester she's got awful grades, okay, maybe they said, okay, you have to adjust or whatever. Second semester, she has awful grades. The third semester, she has awful grades. They're worried about a scholarship. Wouldn't they have realized that, hey, wait, there's a problem? And if she had awful grades the first semester, wouldn't they have taken the time to say, okay, well, what are we going to do about this for the next semester? What do you have to take over again? What do you have to make up again? Okay, you're changing this. Okay, let's see how it goes. But still, Barbara, wouldn't they wanted to see her grades? I don't know. They don't have the rights to grades. She's living in their house, Long Island gal. They're paying her tuition. I don't get that they don't have the rights. You may say that, but are you paying your kids tuition? You know? They don't have the rights. Like I said, nowadays the parents can log on to these websites and see everything. They can pay, but I'm not even talking about with the school, Karen. I'm talking about with their own child. Are they not going to inquire, where is your grades? Where are your grades? How did you finish that semester? How are you doing? What are your classes? What's your schedule? What textbooks do we need to buy? Even her friends were asking her about the textbooks when she came back. Your daughter fought me on everything once she turned 18, including asking about her whereabouts and grades. Wow, Barbara. Oh, the college doesn't release them, but your child should share them with you. Hi, Kathleen. I just can't imagine. My son's in his first year of college right now, and I know what he's got. A certain exam coming up, a certain lab. This and I got. How'd you do on that? How'd you do on this? I know. I don't know how you don't know, and that's not even. I'm not mad at you, Long Island girl. I'm just saying I don't know. You know. Your daughter was 9 hours away, so I'd drop it every few months. Oh, you drop in every few months? No, I'm not mad. Hi, Liza Ann. Oh, it's funny that you say Chandler Halderson. Do you know, as I was going through files, Liza Ann, I saw a lot of files on Chandler Halderson, and I said, wow, maybe we should revisit Chandler Halderson case. There may be a lot of people that didn't remember Chandler Halderson case. Now, Chandler Halderson case, why am I getting it mixed up with, remember that case? Remember that case? Is it all tied into the same case? I don't know. Maybe it is. I feel like it's a dream. Remember that with the airline pilot or something, and he lived across from these people? I remember there was something about a dog. I remember there was something about vintage things in the house, and then a trap door. Who remembers this? Was that tied to Chandler Halderson, or was that another case? Why am I remembering it with the Chandler? And it isn't tied to Chandler Halderson, is it? We should, right, Liza? The one, remember the one, there was like an airline pilot something about his ex-wife or something, and hi, Summer Blues. No, I know there's privacy laws, Summer. I'm talking from parent to child, not the university. I'm talking parent to child. I said hello to Scooter. I agree, but they were struggling. They were strangely. Wait, hold on. I agree, but they were strangely hands off. Why didn't they show up at school? Yeah, and there's all kinds of activities for parents. I mean, I don't know. My kids' colleges were always having activities for parents, family days, and oh my gosh, my daughter's college had so many things, especially in the beginning. Oh my gosh. Hours and hours and hours of things that we went to. I remember my sons and I were like, wow, this is crazy. We went all the way around. I don't even remember all the different things we went to. Just went to a family day up at my son's. I mean, where is the communication between parent and child is what I'm saying. Dad knew she was not where she should be. By the 360, he didn't ask. Well, maybe he was giving her a little freedom. Maybe he thought, like, I don't know how far away she was from the college. Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, I'm more interested in how does your child come home after a semester of college and you don't inquire on how they did, what they've got coming up next, what their schedule is next, what textbooks they need, when the parents are buying the textbooks. Exactly, Liza Ann. If you're paying for your child's schooling, I'm entitled to their progress. Yeah, but not maybe from the college, but your own child should be able to tell you that or give you, let you see their schedule, give you the password or whatever to go online and see it. I had to log in and buy the textbooks. There was a disconnect and the parents weren't following up. Yeah, I don't know. College was 45 minutes from her home? Wow. Summer Blues? Well, if they inquired, wouldn't they have known she was suspended for academic issues? And not have been taken aback by it? Did anybody answer me about this? Anybody remember what case that was with that airline pilot guy? We covered that extensively. There was a trial. Now, I think that the airline pilot, oh my gosh, what was that one? Scooter, do you remember that one? They lived on a street. The airline pilot lived like towards the end of the street. Then this other house was involved. And there was a trap door, and I remember a big dog, like a German Shepherd. There's so many cases we've covered. This could drive me nuts. If I think of this in the night, this will drive me crazy. Yes, I agree, a dialogue with my child's progression. Yeah, absolutely, Liza Ann. Inquire with the daughter, and maybe she lied. But wouldn't they want to see her grades? Google what? Oh, that? I'd rather just sit here and think about it, Summer Blues, and see if it comes to me. You don't remember that case? It was there was something also with a car in the driveway. Chandler Halderson. There was also a summer house or something they had that was connected to him. Maybe that wasn't connected to Chandler Halderson, but maybe we might have been covering it at the same time. Jen says they didn't do their due diligence as parents. They should have asked her questions. Liza Ann says it's all strange. Chandler had the same problem, and the dad caught on, and that led to the parents' demise. Isn't that funny? And then Joel Guy Jr., he had something with school too, right? But he wanted to stay in school, but he was in school for like 7 years, wasn't he? And he wasn't a doctor, of course. And the parents were going to cut off his money and everything. It's amazing to think about. Somebody said there's a lot of parents that are murdered over college issues like that. And I think, wow, that's some extreme measures. Like, what in the world how is that going to resolve anything? Oh my gosh. Oh, the other one, you probably would if I mentioned it. I think they were around the same time. If she was a great student, maybe they never worried. Yeah, I don't know, Karen. I don't know. The mom's head in a pot, yeah. All right, let's look at what else we have here in this case, okay, and see if there's anything else. Let's see what this is.
You want dirt?
She has no shoes on. Oh my gosh, I'd be freaking out. You think Sydney was headed the same way as what, Barbara? But she killed her mom. What happened? I missed something. I must have missed something. Hold on. Hi, One Eye. I must have missed something. So sorry. Let me see. Go up. Scroll up. Because you guys are saying, oh, so sorry to Karen. If she was a great student, maybe they never worried. Why is everybody saying, oh, sorry, Karen? I mean, Barbara. No, Barbara. Now it's Barbara. I'm really losing it tonight. Okay, Barbara. Let me see why everybody's saying, so sorry, Barbara. Barbara said her college wouldn't share much with me, So I would take her word for it. That was 15 years ago. Oh. My daughter lied to me and told me the university authorized a summer study in Thailand, so on and so forth, and I funded her housing and food and flight, and it was oh my goodness. Oh wow. Oh wow. I hope it got better, Barbara. Did it ever get better? Hi, One Eye. That's good, One Eye. You don't want a tail getting in the way. That's good. Now it's off. Pilot triple murder that had hidden door in Kentucky. That was Kentucky, Karen? Wow. Thank you. What was this about? That's it? That's all we're gonna get from her? That sucks. That's sucky. That's really sucky. Hold on, let me go into some other file here. That sucks. That's all they showed there, huh? Look at on the refrigerator all the soccer pictures and the little sports pictures. Looks like that's Sydney, maybe, and her dad. The brother's sports pictures. This looks like it's Sydney over there in a dress. Looks like that's a girl right there with a basketball picture. There's some schedules or things maybe from school. Yeah, definitely a girl here. I love Candy. Sydney and her dad, it looks like. There's Sydney soccer. Here's Sydney with a basketball. Andrew, Sydney and Andrew. So lots of Sydney and Andrew stuff, and whatever these things are, looks like maybe some kind of, maybe that's the lunch menu, class schedule. Planters, nuts and chocolate. I don't know that I've ever seen that. Okay. Lots of family pictures. I just don't understand how they just left those gloves on the floor there, you know? And those were definitely the police gloves because I saw them come in. Unless they were leaving them there on purpose to show about blood, but they have blood on them. To mark the blood, I don't know. They didn't have evidence markers or something. That's pretty gross. See, there's the gloves. These are the ones the cops brought in. Those are some neat gloves. What are those? Because they've got like a white inside and a green. What is it called? Something powder, something. Huh. I wonder what kind those are. Look at the water. Look at that. It looks like someone karate chopped that, doesn't it? That looks weird. That looks weird. So we didn't find out about the about blood over there. There's lots of bread in the house, isn't there? Bread, sweet potatoes, blood on the wall, blood on the wall. Did they have a dog? I don't know. She got slip covers on the furniture here. I don't know. Here's another place they dropped a pair of gloves, and I don't know. And that's right by where there's blood, and there's blood on those gloves. Why would they do that? That would... I don't know what the deal is with that. And they didn't mention what looks like blood in the sink. Now, maybe it's not blood on there. Maybe that's burn marks, but it looked like there. Maybe it is just burn marks. I don't know. I thought yesterday we saw some blood over here, but incinerator. Like over here, what is that? That looks... Yikes. That looks like blood there. I don't know. Okay, so I don't see any. They said there was the evidence of those phone calls, but as I'm going through this stuff, let me see. Here's the backpack that was in her room. She broke this hanger. See, the hanger's broken? Looks like there's a blood stain there. There's one of her shoes. That's the frying pan. That's a large, heavy frying pan. Mother's phone, I suppose. Good brand of knives. Okay. Two knives missing from there. For some reason there. So I think because there was some blood over here on the cabinet. Now see, I thought they said the mother was laying near a closet and that is what was bleeding downstairs. So there's no closet there, so I'm confused on that one. Unless it's this closet, but the blood seems like it's over here in this area. Let's see. I already went there. Okay, hold on. Oh, I think that's in the basement, guys. Look at that. That came down through the basement. I think that's what that is. Yeah. That's in the basement. Look at that. That's how much. So their basement didn't have any insulation. I was wondering about that. If there was insulation but there is none. There's blood on the bathroom floor. Now this is, I'm not sure, is this Sydney's room? No, this can't be Sydney's room because but that's weird because her room had a carpet, like wall-to-wall carpeting, right? I don't know what that is. I'm just trying to see if there's any. There's so many envelopes, folders of photos. I want to make sure that we're not missing any more of those calls that they say they had. I think this is Sydney's car, isn't it? And it has some, uh-oh. Hold on. Trying to see if she still has a lot of her stuff from school, because that lady said she took her bedding and everything out. I wonder if she took, maybe the other pan was like sitting there. There's a Tinkerbell mug in the coffee maker. Droplets of blood here. Not seeing anything there, so let me check here. This envelope folder. I went through that one. What's that? What is that? Oh, I see. That's a weird picture. I thought this was a room. Didn't you guys think that for a minute? Like this was a floor. It was like a loft. I'm like, what the frick is that? That guy. Then I thought it was like an RV. Now I see what it is. It's the pictures turned. Oh my gosh, how crazy. It's like how your mind plays tricks on you. It's a shower. And just so you know, I'm not ignoring anybody. I can't see chat because I'm using all of my monitors for this. I have to go get them from one and they show up on another one. So I can't see anything that if you are texting me or something, I can't see it. There's the glass from the window. There is blood on that blind right there. That's in the garage. And there's blood there. Looks like she has a basket of shoes in there, but she doesn't have her car loaded to the hilt. She's missing a car door handle. know they said something about some kind of a hotel checking out. That I've been through. I'm just trying to go through these files just to make sure that we didn't miss anything. There's so many pictures and another look at her backpack. She has a laptop in it. It's actually an Apple. Her shoes. Her ID, the broken hanger. What's that over there? What's this? I'm trying to see if that's schoolwork, but we can't see it. I'd like to know what that is. Surprised they didn't take a clearer photo of it. Well, maybe they did. Hold on. Why would this be out? The Boy Scout Troop 96 handbook? Why would that be out in draft 1? Was she doing something with that? Why would that be out there? Here's that child or whatever that is. Oh, let's see. Okay. To Thomas, she liked Thomas Kincaid. Somebody did, and that's a Thomas Kincaid Disney puzzle. Okay. That's a really good Tupperware bowl. That's the huge one. What is that, though? A slop sink in the garage? This looks so clean, doesn't it? To have been put in that tub? Doesn't that look way too clean when you look at everything else in there? That this looks way too clean, like this might have been taken out of the house. Maybe she was going to try to do some cleanup, I don't know. All of this stuff in this bowl looks way out of place there. Look at the way the mason jar is all dusty and goobly. I wonder if she was just going to do some cleanup. That looks way too different. One of these things is not like the other. Okay. That looks way too different. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then here's our videos. So we've looked at all the extruder. We've looked at the Powell, Lauren Curry, we looked into. Stephen Powell, we got his interview. And then Sydney Powell in the interview room. And then all the body cam. And I just want to go into one other thing, because there was something in the very beginning of that Powell case. Something about a hotel checking out. Right in the very beginning. This is on 3/31. Sergeant Sheffield and I went to Alliance, Ohio for follow-up on information obtained from the suspect Sydney Powell's cellular telephone and computer. Sergeant Sheffield discovered that Powell had been accessing Wi-Fi from the Comfort Inn in this area. We first stopped at the Comfort Inn, 2500 West State Street in Alliance. We were able to verify that Sydney Powell did in fact check into the hotel on Wednesday, 2/26. She paid cash for the room and checked out the next day. On 2/27, the general manager, Jeremy Lee, gave us a copy of the receipts. The receipt has Sydney Powell's signature on it along with the address. On 4/1, I went to the Red Roof Inn, in Canton. This was another possible. I was able to confirm Sydney also checked in there on 2/28. Okay, so she must have gotten thrown out of the dorm rooms, right? She's in the Comfort Inn, 2/26, 2/27. She goes to the Red Roof Inn on 2/28. And then she goes to the Baymont. They have no record of her there. When I returned to the Detective Bureau, I entered the Comfort Inn, the Red Roof. Okay, so she stayed 3 days in a hotel. How much did that cost? I don't know. We don't see the receipts. Let's see what we got here. Fraser. That's with Fraser and Gaffney. We've gone through that. Before he stopped by the hall by responding officers. Okay, we went through that. I wanted to see if they ever noted what that white powder was in her purse. This is all stuff we've gone through. Okay, this is, I guess, when she arrested arrest of Sydney Powell. She was arrested. One day was she arrested? Oh, look at that. Brenda's birthday was 3/19. I think Sydney's birthday is 3/21. And it was 3/19 when they interviewed that girl. Trying to see if they found what that white powder is. Let me see here. One pair of black capris. Does anybody remember that case we covered recently, and they brought the female into that room to get changed with the female, I don't know if she was a CO or something from the jail. She went in there and then they handed the guys out her clothing. Remember? And they put it in bags. I can't remember what that case was either, and that was very recent. He and his wife, what is this? Were unaware of the situation. Where did I see that? That's just reiterating that whole thing. Okay, Detective King contacted me and gave me an update on Sydney at the Akron City Hospital, stated that Sydney was not making any type of coherent statements. Kept repeating, "Get out of the house." Oh, here, review lab testing results. Well, what do we get here? I went to the medical examiner's office, took custody of evidence. I got the evidence from the autopsy. Oh, here's the white powder. Let me see. I also examined the contents of the pink backpack, the unknown white powder. I had the powder forwarded to Mike Velton for testing. Okay, so when did we find the results of that? That's the timeline. We went over everything there yesterday. And then this is Lauren Curry. This was her interview. And I said we weren't going to do it. We were going to let us hear what she had to say. Mrs. Curry stated that Sydney had a really good relationship with both of her parents. She described her relationship with her mother as best friends, and that Sydney and her mother did everything together. She was not aware of any major arguments with her parents, and from what she knew, Sydney loved being at home, and she described the same type of relationship with her father. In summary, Ms. Curry stated that she never knew that Sydney was not enrolled at school and was not supposed to be on the Mount Union campus. She mentioned that some people from the school did come to the suite and spoke with her, and that some of the resident assistants came after she left to make sure she was gone. She also said that Sydney hardly posted anything on social media. Trying to see if there's anything about the results of that white powder, but there isn't. There is not. So let me see. What are you guys saying? Let me come back now. White powder. It was in her backpack. It was in a plastic vial or something like that. It was white powder. Let's see what you guys said. Carolyn, you make a good detective. Let's see here. I have that pizza mix. Hey, Christine F. I thought you'd never come back to the live chat. I've only seen you in the comments. We thought you hated us. No, I'm just joking. New people don't understand that. That's an inside joke. We don't really mean it. It's an inside joke. Good to see you back, Christine. Liza, we go to South Carolina. Liza, we go to South Carolina. Hey, Liza, we go to South Carolina. What? How can we meet up? What's going on? I want to see what's going on here. I missed a lot when I was showing things. Liza, you live. Wait, hold on a minute. Liza, you're only an hour and 30 minutes from Myrtle Beach. Is that what you're saying? Hold on. You had your family from Portugal staying for you. Oh, I know why you would. Okay, that'll pass for an excuse. I know a mother and daughter duo who are best friends, and they still have knockdown dragouts. Of course, yeah, sure they can. Okay, let me see here now. What's going on with Christine? You've been going through a lot with your health? I hope that you're okay. We'll be praying for you. Okay, I missed a lot when I was doing the pictures. I've got to go back, way back. Okay, let me see now. Wow. How did you guys are really chatting it up while I was getting those pictures out, because I'm still going back and have not seen this. Okay. All right, I got that now. Another case, Liza Ann says, I just said that, Carolyn, says Scooter. Summer Blue says maybe she lied to them. Liza and Deborah Scooter said, Carolyn, I said that. Karen said Dad knew she was not where she should be by the 360. He didn't ask. Liza Ann said, if I'm paying for my child's schooling, I'm entitled to their progress. Barbara said, okay, no, that's all that. So, okay. College was 45 minutes from the home. Summer Blue said maybe they inquired with the daughter and she lied. Scooter said, if you're paying, you need to know, period. That's what I say. No, not at all, Carolyn. I don't know what that meant. Liza, it's all strange. Chandler had the same problems. His dad caught on. Okay. Okay, here we go. A change in my case, Nelson. Oh, never got better, just worse. Went on for 3 years while she was studying in Germany. All lies. It was weird. She was a great student in high school in all clubs. How old is she now? Barbara, are things better now? Let's see. Karen says all pics were when so young. Liza says, isn't this the case where the daughter got mad because her mom was about to call the school? No, the school called her. Sydney just lost it because the mother wasn't so mad, though. That's the thing. I just cannot remember, but she was busted. I remember that. Let's see. Jen, thank you. If they only knew, most parents will help you get through pretty much anything. Correct, Barbara, right? It's not the end of the world. Let's see. Carolyn likes looking at every little thing. That I do. Thank you. I still have some memory in the bank. Let's see. Barbara, all they have to do is just tell the truth, but they don't. Here's Petunia. Strange voices. Strange the voices on the floor don't have an evidence tag marker do, but this must be placed. Gloves. The gloves, correct. Who usually cleans up the crime scenes? I don't know. Yeah, there's services you can call, hazmat cleaning and crime scene cleaning services. Remember that movie, Sunshine Cleaning Services or something, when the girls pretended they knew how to clean up crime scenes? Remember that? The noise I hear is not rain. It's raccoons in the attic. We have a raccoon man coming tomorrow to catch them. Thank goodness. Ooh, raccoons in the attic. They were here in 2018, remember? The raccoons in the attic? They're back. Okay, let's see. Biohazard cleaning service, yes. Liza hired by the police department of the family. And it's the homeowner's expense most often. There are exceptions. Okay, Long Island girl says Sydney is no Mackenzie Shrilla. I do think she sank into a major clinical depression and was unable to share it with her parent. I just think her mother came at her with anger and she just snapped. I don't know if it was just a snapping. I don't know, because her mother was on the phone when it happened, and they said she was very calm. I don't know. Liza said I would be staying somewhere else. Long Island gal feels it's a rage that had been building up because Brenda wasn't the caring mom everyone claims. I don't know. I don't know, Long Island gal. You know, Brenda's not here to talk about it, and I, from what I've seen, I haven't seen that. You know, so I wouldn't say that. You can say whatever, you know, you can say whatever, you know, that's your opinion, but I just don't see it that way. Even if her mother wasn't like, whatever, you know, her reaction and what she did is just too much. And her mother didn't deserve to die that way. Her mother, that is just horrendous, that what she did to her mother. It was horrific. Her mother seemed to be a very caring person. I don't know. I love the raccoons. They're always around my house. Okay, let's see now. Oh, so she was moving around, not in one spot. The blood in the basement, yeah. Liza Ann, good question, Barbara. What did Barbara say? I wonder if the dad sold the house. Somebody said they're still living in it, and I heard the dad did want to sell the house. So I'm not sure. I can't imagine how much anger she must have been feeling. No, I would sell the house, said Liza. Jen Grill said, if they sold the house, don't they have to disclose a death? In most states, yes, but I think there are some states where. Christine said, this case is something else. Liza says, Christine, I hope life gets better for you soon. Long Island gal says, boys, the home is so dated. Boys. Liza, I know the mother and daughter duo who are best friends, and they still have knockdown, drag out fights. Okay. Carolyn is on a mission. Okay, let's see what happened now. Some of us are a tad older. It happens. What happens? Don't look at mine. Oh, the datedness? Okay, and Long Island Girl says, Debbie, I am downright ancient and refuse to let that happen. I just redecorated. Barbara says, oh yeah, hallway. Want my place here in South Carolina. Okay, hold on a minute. Now let me see what's going on. Now this is where we got to South Carolina. Scooter said, heck yeah, Liza. Liza said, okay. Debbie said, okay. Oh, I love South Carolina, says Long Island gal. She's 1.5 hours away from Myrtle Beach. Do you know where Edisto is, Liza? Karen was confused about the broken because it didn't look like a break-in. Maybe she was just waving the pan. No, the glass is not broken where she killed her mother. My husband is to retire soon and we want to travel in an RV, says Liza. Okay, Debbie Two Scooter says, I'd love to sell both our homes and travel the country. We definitely could do that. Liza says, right, Debbie, that's our goal, and we have 2 homes as well. Okay. Debbie says, we could even meet up on the road, Liza. You guys could, maybe you'd be friends. Liza, we go to South Carolina. That would be amazing. I see all you ladies on your girl trips. I would have fun with you. Yeah, you could come. Yeah, we're going to go to South Carolina again. Let's see. I know you go near where I got married 23 years ago. You know that, Liza Ann? Well, it's around Edisto. It's but I guess it's close to Beaufort. You should meet up with them, Liza. Barbara says Carolyn would make a good detective. Summer Blue says, was the trial televised? Yes, you can find parts of it online. I don't know if someone has the entire thing without interruptions, but Court TV does have a playlist of it. Okay. Charleston, Liza Ann, we're about 50, what Scooter, 45, 50 minutes from Charleston. I heard about one maybe 2 years ago. Oh, wow, Liza, so you've been following. I thought you just found us. I'd love to meet up with you all for sure. Wait, why did you say you'll get... Liza is sitting there thinking, who is this? What do you mean you'll stop guessing? You can guess. We know where we go. I think we are all close in age and probably a good match for girls outing vacation. Probably. In Florida, you don't have to report if a murder took place in your home in order to sell it. I want to meet you too, Carolyn. Oh, thanks. I'm glad it's not just Scooter you wanted to meet. I thought you were close to Beaufort. We're Edisto. Do you know we're in the Low Country in Edisto? Do you know where that is? What is that? Isn't that Colton County? I think so. You're from the Savannah area, Summer Blues? Are you there now? You've been a silent watcher for years. What made you finally come out of your shell and come into the chat? I'm just curious. Did you say heck with it? I'm going in there. Keep reading, Carolyn. She wants to meet us all up with us. Okay, so let me see if I can find out. I'm just going to do a little quick search to see if that white powder that was ever found in her purse was ever... Let me see here. Hold on a second. I just did with my... paper I was just reading. That's so weird that it just went away. My flowers, they all blew away. The heck, where did it go? Hold on a minute. You know what? Let me just do it like this. Hold on a second. This is much better. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, this is from last December, December 26th. It was about her appeal, and says Sydney Powell appeals her convictions in the Summit County Court of Common Pleas. After graduating high school, Miss Powell entered as a first-year student at Mount Union College. Mount Union placed her on academic probation after her first year. And after her academic performance did not improve, she was placed on academic suspension after the first semester of her second year there. So we learned a little bit more about that. She was on academic probation, and it didn't improve, and then she was on academic suspension. Ms. Powell did not tell her family or friends. Instead, she returned to the campus in January and moved into her residence hall as though nothing had happened. After Ms. Powell's sorority president questioned why her name did not appear on a membership roster, the Associate Dean of Students contacted Ms. Powell. Although Ms. Powell initially denied that she was suspended, she eventually acknowledged that she was aware of the suspension. So she's actually telling the Dean of Students that she was not suspended. The Associate Dean set a timeline for Ms. Powell to move out of the residence hall, and Ms. Powell agreed. When the deadline passed, however, the Associate Dean learned that Ms. Powell was still living in the residence hall. And during a second meeting between the official, Ms. Powell, and the Vice President of Student Affairs, Ms. Powell acknowledged that she was required to move out, stated that her parents were aware of her suspension, and represented that she just needed more time to do so. Yet again, Ms. Powell did not move out by the deadline. When staff approached her in the residence hall, she refused their offer to contact her parents and moved her belongings out immediately. Over the next week, Ms. Powell stayed in local hotels, visited her home when her parents were not there, and sent text messages to friends. On the evening of March 2nd, 2020, Ms. Powell returned to campus and watched The Bachelor with her friends. When Ms. Powell returned to Mount Union in January, her father noticed that he could not access the parent financial portal. When he asked Ms. Powell about the problem, she told him she'd take care of it. And on the morning of March 3rd, Stephen Powell received a call at work from Mount Union informing him that Ms. Powell was no longer enrolled and directing him to Ms. Powell for further information. Using a location sharing app on his smartphone, Stephen Powell noted that Ms. Powell was at home at a time she should not have been there. He left his phone at work so that Ms. Powell could not track his location and drove to his home, where he found Ms. Powell. During the conversation that followed, Ms. Powell expressed frustration that her friends seemed to have figured out their lives while she had not. Steve Powell urged her to talk to her mother, Brenda. One of them contacted Brenda, who told her coworkers that she needed to go home to deal with a problem involving her daughter. Stephen Powell returned to work before Brenda Powell arrived. At 12:36 p.m., Brenda sent him a text to confirm that she was pulling into the driveway. Poor woman. Doesn't know what she's pulling into. On March 3rd, the Dean of Students at Mount Union received a message that Brenda Powell had called to discuss Ms. Powell. The note on the message was written, or also said, that Ms. Powell was sitting next to Brenda when she called. The dean asked the associate dean to join him on a telephone conversation with Brenda, and they returned the call from his office. Brenda answered the phone call, and they identified themselves. The conversation did not progress any further. At that point, they heard a thump or a thud that was accompanied by a pretty large scream. After that, they heard an expulsion of air, like the air was knocked out of somebody. See, I thought when they said that, they said they heard that first, but the sound of the phone falling to the ground and a number of thumping sounds that went on for maybe 15 seconds or so. They heard crying and screaming that seemed to get further away and then to approach the phone again, followed by sounds like a hard item hitting something. So it sounds like she ran and got a knife, right? That's what it sounds like. When the call dropped, they tried to call back. On the third attempt, within about 1.5 minutes later, a very calm voice answered the phone, but the dean recognized that it was not the person he had spoken to before. When he advised Ms. Powell by name, the call dropped. The associate dean contacted the Akron Police Department directly to avoid being routed through Stark County's 911 system, and officers were dispatched for a welfare check at Ms. Powell's residence in response. At 12:51 p.m., Stephen Powell received a call from his lifelong friend, Detective Kenneth Dyes. Detective Dyes had recognized the Powell's address in radio traffic, and he informed Stephen that officers were dispatched to his home for a welfare check. Stephen attempted to reach Brenda unsuccessfully, but he did speak with Sydney, who told him that Brenda was on the phone with officials from Mount Union, and when Stephen told her that police were on their way to the house, Miss Powell lost her composure and told him that someone had broken into the house. When the officers arrived, they heard a woman crying for help in the back of the house. They found that a window was open, a sliding glass door was ajar, and there appeared to be blood on the vertical blinds. One of the officers found Miss Powell, who was yelling that her mother was in the back of the house, according to the testimony. Ms. Powell told them that after hearing a noise, her mother told her to leave the house. She told the officers that when she heard screaming, she went inside and found her mother on the floor. Oh, so that was, see, we've heard more of this now, right? She's claiming, according to their testimony, Ms. Powell told them after hearing a noise, her mother told her to leave the house. That's what she kept saying, leave the house. She told the officers that when she heard screaming, she went back inside and found her mother on the floor. The officer noted that Miss Powell had cuts on her own hand that were actively bleeding. The officer found Brenda in a bedroom, lying face up on the floor. A cell phone, a large cast iron skillet, and a knife were found near her body. Brenda died as a result of her injuries. Ms. Powell provided her name to the officers outside. They then dropped to the pavement and stopped answering questions. Although she was transported to the hospital by EMS, Ms. Powell quickly became a suspect in Brenda's death. She was involuntarily admitted to Akron General until March 16, 2020, after an emergency psychiatric evaluation. Okay, hold on a minute. That doesn't even make sense. She was involuntarily admitted to Akron General until March 16th. So she was in, okay, Akron General involuntarily. So when was that interview? Well, it wasn't an interview. When she was sitting in that room in the hospital clothing with just socks on. When was that? Because she was in the hospital. She was involuntarily admitted from March 3rd to the 16th. For 13 days they kept her. Ms. Powell was charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count each of felonious assault and tampering with evidence, and she entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Before trial, Ms. Powell moved the trial court to permit her to call witnesses to rebut the state's anticipated expert testimony related to the NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity defense. The trial court denied the motion during trial, but before the state's expert testified. And after the state's expert testified, Ms. Powell renewed the motion, arguing that her experts could have rebutted specific points related to the methodology used and conclusions reached by the state's expert. The trial court denied the motion again, concluding that Ms. Powell had had lots and lots and lots of expert testimony in this matter. The jury found Ms. Powell guilty of all the charges against her. Trial court determined that the 2 counts of murder and the count of felonious assault were allied offenses, and the trial court sentenced her to an aggregate prison term of 15 years to life. Ms. Powell appealed, assigning 4 errors for this court's review. Okay, so I think we went through this, but this is the one was prejudicial error that violated Ms. Powell's fair trial and due process rights when it preemptively barred her from presenting her rebuttal witnesses. So that's one of their things, and that's what I think they won the appeal on, because let's see here, we can go over. Rebutting evidence is that given to explain, refute, or disprove new facts introduced into evidence by the adverse party, it becomes relevant only to challenge the evidence offered by the opponent, and its scope is limited by such evidence. To be presented as rebuttal evidence, testimony must meet 2 criteria. It must be a matter that was first addressed in the opponent's case in chief, and it should not be a matter brought in the rebutting party's case in chief. When both criteria are met, a party has an unconditional right to present rebuttal testimony with respect to expert testimony. Okay, and they cite some other cases, and then they say here, in her case in chief, Ms. Powell presented the testimony of 3 expert witnesses. And after each expert witness testified, the state conducted a brief cross-examination. Dr. James Reardon, I remember him from another case, I think, who practices forensic psychology, testified that he met Ms. Powell on 2 dates for 8 to 10 hours of evaluation, and he described the psychological assessments that he administered to her. Dr. Reardon explained that psychological assessments function as a check on the individual performing the evaluation, and he explained that he would not be comfortable diagnosing a severe mental disease without conducting assessments. As a result of his evaluation, Dr. Reardon determined that at the time of the murder, Ms. Powell was suffering from a first episode of schizophrenia and a major depressive disorder, single episode which he characterized as both severe and accompanied by psychotic features. Dr. Reardon testified that at the time she committed the murder, Ms. Powell was in a psychotic state or out of touch with reality and unable to know the wrongfulness of her acts. Dr. Reardon further explained that her schizophrenic and psychotic episode was preceded by early indicators of onset that could be noted in retrospect, but that would have been difficult to detect at the time. These indicated a deteriorating connection to reality over the 6-month period of time before the murder, decreased concentration, social withdrawal, and depressed mood. Dr. Reardon opined that by the time Ms. Powell returned to campus in January of 2020, she was on a real slippery slope in terms of her mental and emotional state deteriorating, and noted that she was well on her way to a final psychological decline that was ultimately precipitated by Mount Union's action. He explained that in the week before the murder, Ms. Powell actively manifested auditory hallucinations and exhibited behavior inconsistent with normal functioning. According to his testimony, Ms. Powell was departing further and further from reality and decompensating into a full-blown psychotic state. At that point, and by that time she arrived at her home on the date of the murder, she was in the midst of a full-blown psychotic episode. Dr. Reardon testified the manner of Brenda Powell's death influenced his opinion about whether Ms. Powell appreciated the wrongfulness of her conduct, noting that it demonstrated the incredible magnitude of the loss of reality and the loss of any ability to engage in any reasoning or conscious thought during those moments. So we're to believe she had no reasoning and no conscious thought during those moments. Dr. Thomas Swales, a forensic neuropsychologist employed by the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Psychiatric Clinic, also testified as an expert for Ms. Powell. Dr. Swales explained that he based his evaluation on Ms. Powell on a structured clinical interview, a format in which he's been tested against other psychiatrists using the same tools to see if we come up with the same answers. He opined that at the time of the offense, Ms. Powell was suffering from a first episode of schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, and was in an acute psychotic state that impacted her ability to know the wrongfulness of her actions. According to Dr. Swales, Ms. Powell was living a delusion and was completely, totally out of her mind. With respect to malingering, Dr. Swales acknowledged that Ms. Powell was slightly over the threshold score for possible malingering. Okay, you guys know what malingering is, right? She was slightly over the threshold score for possibly malingering. And that says something. Okay, because, hold on, I'm trying to get back to the chat just so I can have you guys on here while I'm looking at this. Okay. I wonder too. What? So no, that it's not an excuse, whatever. Liza. Summer says, I have dealt with 2 schizophrenic ladies in my life. Lovely people. And then the disease sat in and changed them. And it was concerning and scary and dangerous and so frustrating. Hi, Abuelita. Okay, so here we go. So she was slightly over the threshold for possible malingering on the Miller Forensic Assessment of Symptoms test, but he explained that the assessment is not a diagnostic tool. Dr. Swales also administered the structured interview of reported symptoms, second edition, the medical symptom validity test, and the nonverbal medical symptom validity test. He testified that malingering was not indicated as a result of those assessments with a high degree of certainty. And noted that a diagnosis of malingering in this case would not make sense. Dr. Swales also noted that he would not diagnose malingering without administering those diagnostic assessments. Ms. Powell's third expert witness was Dr. Robin Belcher-Time, a licensed psychologist with an independent practice in forensic psychology. Dr. Time or Timmy, I don't know how you pronounce the last name, spent approximately 5 hours conducting a clinical forensic interview of Ms. Powell. And he administered the Minnesota, oh, that must have been Jen falling off the thing. Jen, was that you falling off the Zoom? Carolyn froze? What do you mean I froze? I'm here. What do you mean I froze? Can everybody still hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can still hear me. I don't know. Jen's saying I froze. Can you still hear me? Okay. So, let's see here. Dr. T spent approximately 5 hours conducting a clinical forensic interview of Ms. Powell, and he administered the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory, 3rd edition, and the Miller Forensic Assessment of Symptoms to test her. He testified that at the time of the murder, Ms. Powell was suffering from a first episode of acute schizoaffective disorder, depressive type, and that her symptoms were so severe that she did not appreciate the wrongfulness of her actions. He characterized Ms. Powell's condition on that date as first episode psychosis and acknowledged that her case was atypical because she did not have a long history of psychosis and indicators of future violent behavior were absent. With respect to her behavior prior to the murder, Dr. T explained that when somebody is psychotic, it is a symptom to not believe you are psychotic. He testified that Ms. Powell's first semester at Mount Union was characterized by social anxiety, followed by a separation from reality that developed over time to the point where she's created a separate reality and has untethered from the world as we all know it. Noting that the state's expert analyzed Ms. Powell's cellular phone usage from the week before the murder, Dr. T explained that psychosis manifests and abates over time, offering opportunities for her to desperately hold on to some sense of normalcy in her life. Dr. T explained that Ms. Powell's behavior after the murder could be explained by the fact that she remained in a psychotic state, or in the alternative, that she was experiencing moments of lucidity that indicated a trauma response. Dr. T testified that Ms. Powell's medical records from the weeks after the murder indicate that those who treated her uniformly recognized that she was suffering from severe mental illness. He also testified that Ms. Powell's score on the Miller Forensic Assessment of Symptoms test fell below the threshold that suggests the presence of malingering, and that he did not observe indications of malingering during his evaluations. He also emphasized that because the consequences... Let me see here, I missed something. He also emphasized that because the consequences of being characterized as a malingerer are so serious, he would not make that diagnosis without administering diagnostic assessments. The state called a single expert witness, Dr. Sylvia Obradovich, to testify regarding not guilty by reason of insanity defense. The expert report that Dr. O prepared reviewed Ms. Powell's recent social history in conjunction with collateral records that included her cellular phone usage and academic records from Mount Union. Dr. O's report noted that during the 2 hours that she spent interviewing Ms. Powell was less than honest and forthcoming. Dr. O observed that Ms. Powell tended to respond vaguely, omit or distort relevant details, or assert that she was unable to remember or did not know the information that might reflect her in an unfavorable light. Dr. O also noted that Ms. Powell tended to exaggerate or feign having symptoms of a severe mental illness that she claimed rendered her unable to function. In the course of her report, Dr. O summarized Ms. Powell's cellular phone activity during the week that preceded the murder. The information gained during the police investigation and Ms. Powell's medical records, Dr. O opined that Ms. Powell did not meet the criteria for a severe mental illness at the time of the murder, that her symptom presentation is not credible, and that she appreciated the wrongfulness of her actions at the time of the murder. Dr. O's report did not explain her methodology in detail or comment on the methodology employed by Ms. Powell's experts. During her testimony, Dr. O summarized the conclusions contained in her report. She also distinguished her methodology from the methodology employed by Ms. Powell's experts, explaining that in clinical work you take what's reported to you and you just assume that it's 100% honest. There's no reason to lie. She then noted that her approach was slightly different. I took everything that was reported to me. I compared it with all the things that we know to be true, and it did not add up to schizophrenia or insanity at the time of the crime. Dr. O explained that she examined Ms. Powell's cellular phone records because the best source of information for an insanity evaluation is all of the data and evidence for that time frame. So the best way to know what someone's mental state is by the things they were doing and saying at the time. Dr. O explained that she did not administer any assessments to Ms. Powell because they would be irrelevant to determining her mental state at the time the murder was committed. During cross-examination, Dr. O reiterated that a present mental health problem has no bearing on mental status at the time a crime is committed. She also summarized the difference between her methodology and the methodology employed by Ms. Powell's experts. So this is her testimony, okay? Question is from the defense. This is the cross. Okay, so Dr. Swales, Dr. Reardon, and Dr. T, they have a combined 50-year experience. Combined, they did 25 different psychological tests, and you are saying to this jury, you are not taking issue with the way they scored those tests, right? Answer, no. My issue is what's been being given. When you have the data, you have to determine how important and how credible that data is. And so our difference of opinion is clear. But I think the approach was also pretty different, which is that my investigation and all of the time for the evaluation was spent on the time period of the crime, whereas they took lots and lots of data from the time period of meeting with her, which you know, unfortunately, is not the most relevant data. Question. Yeah, you're saying she was malingering, and these 3 doctors missed it? Answer. I'm saying that these 3 doctors focused and believed everything she said, and I compared everything she said to what we know to be true, and it didn't match. Regarding the admission of assessments designed to diagnose malingering, Dr. O opined that assessments can only diagnose malingering at the moment the test is given, and that no assessment can indicate past malingering. Dr. O's testimony, therefore, did not only describe her conclusions about whether Ms. Powell met the criteria for not guilty by reason of insanity defense. Without question, Dr. O disagreed with Ms. Powell's experts on that ultimate issue. Her testimony went beyond that question, however. She also described her own methodology and offered pointed critique of Ms. Powell's experts, characterizing the basis of their expert opinions as both fundamentally flawed and irrelevant to the question at hand. These matters were addressed for the first time in the state's case in chief regarding not guilty by reason of insanity defense, and testimony rebutting these arguments would not have merely reiterated matters brought in Ms. Powell's case in chief. Ms. Powell was not required to preemptively counter these arguments. Considering that Dr. O did not include the critique in her expert report that the state's cross-examination of each expert was minimal, it may well have been impossible for Ms. Powell to do so in any event. Ms. Powell's proffered rebuttal, therefore, would have been evidence given to explain, refute, or disprove new facts introduced into evidence by Dr. O. The trial court denied Ms. Powell's motion, based solely on the conclusion that there had been lots and lots and lots of testimony, of expert testimony in this matter. Under these circumstances, however, Ms. Powell had an unconditional right to present rebuttal testimony. This court therefore agrees that once the state's expert had testified, the trial court erred by denying her the opportunity to present rebuttal testimony on not guilty by reason of insanity. Ms. Powell's first assignment of error is sustained on that basis. So she already won that point. She won that first point that they agree with her. Okay? Assignment of error 2, Ms. Powell's convictions were against the manifest weight of this evidence. And then there's 3, which Ms. Powell's right to a fair trial under the 6th and 14th Amendments and Ohio Constitution, Article 1, Section 16 was violated when the prosecutor made improper remarks and solicited testimony regarding her desire to consult counsel. Assignment 4 of error. The trial court committed prejudicial error when it denied Ms. Powell's motion in limine and permitted gruesome photos and testimony regarding the victim's cause and manner of death, which were not in dispute. So it says, Ms. Powell's second assignment of error is that her convictions are against the manifest weight of the evidence. Her third assignment of error argues that the state engaged in misconduct by commenting on her desire to remain silent after her arrest, and her fourth assignment of error argues that the trial court erred by admitting evidence that was irrelevant or unduly prejudicial. In light of the court's resolution of her first assignment of error, her second, third, and fourth assignments of error are moot. Ms. Powell's first assignment of error is sustained. Her second, third, and fourth assignment of error are moot. The judgment of the Summit County Court of Common Pleas reversed, and this matter is remanded to the trial court for proceedings consistent with this opinion. Judgment reversed and cause remanded. There were reasonable grounds for this appeal. We order that a special mandate issue out of this court directing the Court of Common Pleas, County of Summit, State of Ohio, to carry this judgment into execution. A certified copy of this journal entry shall constitute the mandate pursuant to App R 27, and immediately upon the filing hereof, the document shall constitute the journal entry of judgment, and it shall be file stamped by the clerk of the Court of Appeals, at which time the period for review shall begin to run. The clerk of the Court of Appeals is instructed to mail a notice of entry of this judgment to the parties and to make a notation of the mailing in the docket pursuant to App R 30, cost tax to the appellee. Okay, so that's where we are now. So that's why let's see if we have any date for her new trial or something. Let's see what's going on. Because that was December 26th of 2024. We're almost coming up on a year on that, okay? Let's see what's going on with her new trial. Let's see. Okay. right. Sydney, let's see, there's something from February. Let's see what they said here. Okay, so that was December 26th of 2024, and this is from February 20, where are we? Something of 2025. Let's see what they said. The Summit County prosecutor has asked the Ohio Supreme Court to review an appeals court decision that overturned Sydney Powell's conviction in the brutal murder of her mother, arguing the lower court's decision could rewrite the order of trials throughout the state of Ohio. In court documents filed on February 7th by the Summit County prosecutor Elliot Kolkovich, the prosecutor asked the Ohio Supreme Court to take up their appeal on the 9th District Court of Appeals decision that found Powell's trial court wronged, prevented the Akron's woman's attorneys from presenting expert witnesses that would have rebutted crucial state testimony related to her plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Okay, let's see. Kolkovich's appeal claims that the Ohio courts could have long recognized that criminal defendants do not have an unambiguous right to present surrebuttal evidence. Furthermore, the prosecutor asserts that the 9th District Court failed to account for the fact that Sydney Powell requested to rebut claims that her attorneys brought up elicited in their cross-examination of Dr. O. Kolkovich argues that a defendant is only entitled to surrebut new testimony raised by the prosecution, not matters introduced by the defendants themselves. In summation, the 9th District's decision contravenes more than a century of authority. It will lead trial courts astray and transform trials in Lorain, Medina, Summit, and Wayne counties to an endless sequence of rebuttal and surrebuttal, prosecutors argued. Kolkovich stated the Ohio's legal system allows for the upholding of criminal convictions unless the appealing party is able to demonstrate prejudice from an error. Prosecutors also argued that the 9th District failed to consider whether the denial of surrebuttal testimony in the matter was a harmless error. In doing so, it decided to seize on what would at best constitute a technical 13 mistake to supplant the determination of a jury of 12 citizens who heard extensive testimony on the very issue from the very same people that Powell wanted to recall in surrebuttal, the appeal states. Yeah, they did talk about them, right? I mean, I really don't think it would have made a difference. I saw one of the jurors speak. I don't know. Now, where is Miss Powell now? Did she get out on bail again? Let me see. Is she in Marywood? What's going on? Let's see. Sydney. Okay, so you know that she was out on bail while she awaited trial and during trial. Okay. Trying to see where she is right now. See. Prosecutors asked the Supreme Court to reconvict Sydney Powell. That's what we just learned about now. And so what happened? I mean, they've given no response since February? I mean, that's crazy, right? Summit County fights overturning. But where is she? Let me see. Oh boy. I don't know. Let me see here. Let me do something. Hold on. I'm trying to find out where she is. Memorandum in support of jurisdiction of the appellant's February 7th. This is the document that let's see this. Powell quickly abandoned her claim of a break-in. Let's see what this says here. Brenda's body was removed from the scene and sent to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. Okay, she had, now these are Brenda's injuries, right, that caused her death. She had many stab wounds and several incised wounds, primarily on the neck and lower face. Specifically found the following 23 separate stab wounds and 3 incised wounds on the front and side of the neck, and 4 stab wounds and 2 incised wounds on the left shoulder, left arm, and left hand. Those wounds caused injuries to the jugular veins and the carotid arteries, which led to death by loss of blood to the brain. He concluded that the cause of death was multiple sharp and blunt force injuries and the manner of death was homicide. Sydney Powell quickly abandoned her claim of a break-in leading to Brenda's murder and asserted an insanity defense. She presented opinions from those 3 experts. I'm not going to go into everything they said again because we've already done that. On appeal, she raised 4 assignments of error, and the first one was sustained. Now, prosecution says criminal defendant does not have an unconditional right to recall expert witnesses in the surrebuttal portion of a trial. They say the statutory provision is plain and unambiguous that a criminal defendant does not have the right to present surrebuttal evidence, as Ohio courts have long recognized. And states that. It says, despite this firmly established understanding of the order of criminal trials in Ohio, and indeed throughout the nation, the 9th District decided that Powell had the unconditional right to present surrebuttal testimony in this matter. In doing so, the court recast Powell's proposed testimony from her recalled expert witnesses as rebuttal evidence because it related to her affirmative insanity defense. In doing so, the court relied on RC 2315.01, which is the statutory provision regarding the order of evidence in civil cases. And the 9th District concluded that Powell had the unconditional right to the extraordinary presentation of evidence because her own trial counsel cross-examined the state's expert witness in a way that elicited testimony about her methodology compared to the methodology of the defense experts. The 9th District analysis misses the mark from the start. First, the legal analysis is minimal relying primarily on a summary of the extensive testimony elicited at trial from the defense experts and the state's sole witness before providing a cursory conclusional paragraph. Second, it fails to account for the authorities cited above regarding the presentation of evidence in criminal cases and the extensive authority regarding the lack of the criminal defendant's right to present surrebuttal evidence, even within the context of asserting an affirmative defense. Okay, and then it says, let's see, go to the chase. In sum, let's just go here. The Ninth District decision contravenes more than a century of authority. So they're saying if you do this, it's going to cause mayhem in the court system, right? Everybody's going to come in and say, wait a minute. And it's going to set everyone back in, I don't know, 4 or 5 different counties. 1, 2, 3, 4 counties, they said. Proposition of law. Let's see. And then they said, based on the underlying circumstances of the offenses and due to the jury hearing such extensive testimony from Powell's experts, the Ninth District should have applied harmless error analysis to the trial court's decision to deny the surrebuttal. It failed to apply longstanding law when it declined to do so, and this court should instruct other districts to avoid committing the same error and reversing murder convictions after grueling multi-week jury trials. Thus, this court should accept jurisdiction to review the second proposed proposition of law. And that was in February. And conclusion is the state respectfully submits, pursuant to the argument offered, that this court should accept jurisdiction of this case because this case is a felony and of great constitutional importance. February 7th of 2025. So I don't know where she, let me see. Oh wait, no, I've just found out. She's going to remain, okay, here we go. Where did I just see that? Stop it. I just saw something, hold on. Powell remains incarcerated at the Ohio Reformatory for Women in Marysville. She's with Sherilla. So let's see. It says the Ohio Supreme Court could hear the case of Akron daughter convicted of killing her mother. The Summit County prosecutor filed an appeal. That's the one we just read through now. Let's see what it says here. So it's saying that that's a very small update there. That's nothing really. Let's see, February 20th. Let's see what we've got here. Well, I guess the judge still hasn't, nothing's happened there in regard to that. The courts have not said anything. The appellate court, nothing. Supreme Court. This is crazy. Hold on. That's a long time. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 8 months? Almost 9 months. Very strange, isn't it? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Let me go back to you guys because I can't see you guys and you're probably screaming stuff out and all that stuff. Hold on. I cannot find you. Where are you? Is this you? That says you. Okay. Karen, I'm glad about that. AI isn't so smart after all. What happened? AI. What happened to AI? Debbie Two Scooter, did you leave us? Okay, so I told my husband if that happens to me. What happened? Your cousin had a baby and became crazy afterwards? It's so dangerous. My aunt lost her mind. Wow, Summer. Crazy. Now you have to dig. Now you have more to dig into, Carolyn. That is strange. Yeah, I don't know. I usually there's like let me see something. I just want to check something really fast here. Come here, come here, come here. Sydney. What is the brother was Andrew? Was the brother Andrews? Was Andrew the brother's name? Sydney Nicole Powell and Andrew. This cannot be this. That's just weird. Somebody has kids with the same name putting posts. That's really weird. Very strange. Very, very strange. That is really freaking strange. Okay. Trying to see if there's. Let me see here. So they say that an Ohio appeals court ordered, see, but this is wrong. This is December 26, 2024, ordered a new trial. Sydney Powell sentenced to life. Let me see. Let's see what this says. See more. Sydney Powell and her mother Brenda were best friends, so why did Sydney hide a major secret and then murder her mother? Appeals court overturned Sydney Powell's conviction for brutally killing her mother. Okay. I guess they... Very strange. I don't know. Trying to find something relevant to... I guess that it hasn't... Huh. It's very strange. Didn't they say the mother didn't use social media and that the daughter didn't use social media? I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to... Hang on one second. Let me just check one other thing. Okay, let me see if I can see something here. Come on. What the heck is it? Okay, let me get to her docket, okay? Hold on. And the last thing in the docket is that notice of appeal of the state of Ohio. That's it there. Case is open. Summit County 9th District Court of Appeals. appeal accepted. 420, hold on a minute. Appeal accepted, see announcement. Wait a second. Why is this in her case? This shouldn't. Hold on a minute. Case announcements, April 29th, 2025. Merit without opinions, motions and procedural rulings. State versus Powell. Appeal accepted for review. Okay. Then it leads back to the 26th of December. But then the prosecutor put in something else, and there's not been anything else after that. And I don't see anything about her getting out on bail in the interim at all. So I just pulled up the headlines. Yes, I went into that. I read that all, Karen. Yeah, Karen's saying exactly what I just read to you. Supreme Court will either reverse or a new trial, but no timeline, correct? Mine says she will remain in the Ohio Reformatory. Yes, that's what I read too. Yes. It's right in the docket. That's what I was reading you, the actual docket. To put State of Ohio versus Sydney Nicole Powell. Okay. What time is it? It's 2:15. I think I gotta go to bed. I think I'm gonna do the word game and go to bed. I'm tired. I really am. I am so much to do, and I'm not getting everything I need to do done. It's really bad. I feel completely overwhelmed. Got so many. I haven't even opened my mommy room email today. I got a notice from a friend that it's like, open your email or check this. I didn't see that in like 3 days. Missed another thing that I needed to do today. It's like, it's crazy. And now I'm just got some things done, but I feel like I'm just overwhelmed. Let's see. Let me see here. Come over here. Oh my gosh, my mouse is not working right. Okay. Okay, now I can look at you guys. What'd you get? Thanks, Carolyn, for sharing, but we want you to take care of yourself. Oh, I will. I will. Has anyone ever heard a first-time schizophrenic event? No, but I guess there always has to be one, right? There always has to be one. Somewhere. Sometime has to be the first time. I don't think I've ever actually heard it explained like that. But has she had any since? What would stop her from having it again, right? What if she did have that? Hold on. Then what? Then she has to be, then she should not be getting out, right? She should be going into she has to go into a mental hospital because it could happen again, right? And she's a danger. She's a danger to others. Is that not right? Is that not right? It has to be right. Oh, luck. Okay, so then this has got to be... Does anybody know what this last word is? I tried pled. I know. You would think it was there. It's not. So crazy. Does anybody know what this last word is? Where's murder of crows? It's got to begin with a P. We know that because everything goes in alphabetical order. There we go. All right, did it. All right, guys, I'm going to go to sleep. Maybe I'm going to... It's pretty bad when I consider going to bed at 2:30, going to bed early. I'm going to go to bed early tonight, guys. All right? I love you. God bless. Prayers. We'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll... I've got another case. And I also have a bunch of Chandler Halderson discovery. I do want to go over the Wendy Adelson long interview. I want to, but I have another case, what is the other case I have? I have two other cases, actually. The ones with the baseball cards, and then I have a, a murder-suicide from, back in the day. It's Georgia one. All right, but we'll see. We'll do something. I'll figure it out. All righty. Everybody take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Be good. God bless. Prayers for everyone that needs them. We all need them. So that means all of us. Good night, everybody. Sleep tight. Or have a good day wherever you are if you're starting your day.